gave them whatever, it's copies or whatever, and then I just gave them copies to me, and then I just upload all those. Because going for me, going through those pictures.
News Nation is? Oh, hey, good to see you. Just wanted to touch base. Good to see you again, buddy. Yeah, well, Vinny's running a little behind. I didn't really give him the proper heads up. Who are you with today? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Cool. There was no, he isn't, right? Yeah. Yeah, a little more orderly than last time. Yeah. Yeah, there it goes. Have reporters generally headed in already? Or, yeah. Yeah. I brought my, I mean, I don't know if they have a check system. Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Which one's yours? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's fine by me. All right, I'm gonna figure it out, and obviously, I'll keep you posted for your people as well. All right. Yeah, he said about 11:45, so he's not even too far behind. All right.
They get rid of the speed bump. You think they can sell you? And they get aired on that thing. I mean, not that person. They get sued for like, show you how. And they can. For the reporters on a rainy day.
My head of vision is the same way. I've seen some honestly.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it always happens when we start. Not the red.
Oh, God, the best thing ever started. Pictures were big goggle. And it wasn't a light stand. It was an audio guy. I call at the end of it, and it was pretty bad. The person they went to the end of the end. Because it was so far away. So everybody else was like, no. I'm standing up. Point that out.
It also is an audio thing. If the audio is picking up, it probably will.
You guys all had good audio, right?
Podium would be like here.
Where's it going to go? Or,
They just want to put it on the sides.
yeah, but then the mics.
It's going to be like there's still like speed from here to the mics.
Why don't you put the podium in front?
That's cool with all the bedroom.
Yeah, yeah, we all want that. So if we just tidy this up.
And I think their plan is to go right after if he gives any remarks after his hearing. Yeah, we can do that.
See, they're setting up the podium. And they were going to put it off to the side, and I just told them that it's crazy. If you're going to do something, you got to put it here. Because that's where our mics are. We're not moving the mics. makes this concerned citizens.
No, I didn't.
You want to talk to them?
Yeah.
It's the woman in the peach.
Yeah, that's what I looked at. It was like, oh my god, yeah, I couldn't even say it. I didn't bring a computer because I'm like, oh, I can just let my car. Dave and I said, yeah, we have a computer to use it. He's like, fuck, because he's not going to use it. So, yeah, but if you don't have a computer, I swear it's something I figured I could just bring my car.
I was expecting somebody to say like, hey, listen, they don't want to talk.
Right. Don't volunteer, yeah. Get in trouble.
Yeah. The barricade you need, or yeah. Huh? This right here.
Maybe we'll just leave right now.
I think that's fine if we do that. If the lawyers are there, even better. Santos comes, he's even better. So should we wait out here? I think we should do it for that. Yeah. Do you need help or you got it? Yeah.
time when he was basically starting at the top of the first set of stairs there. But I mean, nobody really had him right because he got out with the car. So yeah. So actually, by that point, that would be sort of the first time most of us would have seen him anyway. Unless we were, I was going to go over there, but. This is what I got.
business all you want. No, but he doesn't. Because all of the supporters that are giving him money for whatever. You gotta give him credit. He is the king of it.
Go there, you're there.
That's cool.
that during the day. I can't read it in there. You know what I do is I put my fingers in my hot cocoa. Look caffeine in your eyelid. Cocaine bulb.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's not the way. I mean, I wasn't up for yeah. I mean, I could put on the one on one, but I can't do that. I can't do it. Or I could put on the one. Maybe, but I still don't think I can.
Yeah.
Put it this way, wouldn't put it past it.
With George Santos.
With the way our business has become.
Right, that's the future.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, great. So when I didn't answer your email, you think somebody would have called me and say, hey, heads up?
That would only make sense.
And the executive producer sitting there like, and he's looking at me. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I work here. And he's like, he's yelling close. I guess it would be better if we call you. I'm like, yeah, if I didn't answer the email, because I usually answer the email and say, hey, okay. If I don't answer the email,
Call.
that probably means I didn't see it. Because I get 9,000 emails
Right.
a day,
Into other things.
and most of them I ignore because
I don't even read. I hit select all, Marcus read. That's it. I don't even look at them.
the G's like, maybe you should have an alert, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, I'm like, okay, I can do that next time, but when you put out the email in the middle of the afternoon while I'm trying to do my package for that day, I'm not like,
Busy doing it. Like getting a package for your news.
and you're just happen to be lucky I still have an endo. So usually I don't have an endo, and the reason I had one is I haven't been back to the station in 2 days. So if I went back to the station yesterday, I would have left it there. But I never had one.
Are you solo or they sent your reporter?
He's inside already. He
Yeah, to see the plan. Did you guys see him come out? Because he was the first to leave with the lawyer. So I wonder. No, eu não sei o que
That guy, like one of his staff.
Agora
They said that he was the first one out of the room. We haven't seen him here, so
mas não pode ser mostrado por aqui.
take care of him. Maybe he's going to wait until he knows how long he'll be. Wait until he thinks he'll out of the building. DC's? Yeah, I wouldn't think so either, but oh, thanks, just in case I need it. Yeah, thanks. Fuck, that was heavier than damn.
Hey, Lucas! Get out!
I've been married 3 times. That's the time was called 3 times.
You know it. You've been on the other end.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you're blocking our shot. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
It's a brown Bronco.
Excuse me.
Okay, everybody follow the car. Way over there. There it is. Right there, Tom. Right there.
What's going on?
Sorry about that, but you guys are still working on it. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.
buried.
Too sexy, I'll be out of the frame in no time.
Just want to let you know so you can start thinking about it when we're all wrapped up here for my new debrief. So, yeah, was this anything interesting that happened Yeah, I'm just by the cameras. I'm on the right side of this
hug, but be ready.
George Santos in Suffolk County. Because Congressman the loader is the criminal around here.
All right, Karen. What?
Yeah, you guys can go. I don't know.
Come on over if you're in New York 03. Ellie! Eli, right? Eli! Where are the, where's Dylan? Where are the signs from our communities? Dylan!
Oh, there he is, right here.
Dylan, where are the other signs for the communities?
Where are they?
I think, Marie, I think they're on the ground. Marie, I think they're on the ground over there.
That file?
No. So you mind getting them? Yeah.
I mean,
It's okay. All right. We're just waiting for Marie, and then we're ready to start.
Awesome. I didn't know that. Do you want it? No. Yes.
You know what, Aiden, I need you to, so I don't get smacked on national television.
Yeah, let's
Just drape it on me. It's all good.
Okay, we ready? Just wash the cards.
Sure.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jody Caspinkle. I'm the founder and coordinator of Concerned Citizens of New York 03. Concerned Citizens of New York 03 is a nonpartisan, ad hoc group of citizens that came together in early January when the fire hose of garbage and deceits that George Santos had done started to be revealed. We are, as I said, nonpartisan. We are not affiliated with any party. We are not affiliated with any elected official, and we are not affiliated with any candidates. We are constituents. We are the victims. I am from Great Neck, and you're going to hear today from folks from constituents in Plainview, Port Washington, Whitestone, and Douglaston. So Santos's fraud was deliberate. It was a premeditated con with very specific elements targeted to segments of our population in the 3rd Congressional District. Over 700,000 people live in our district, and we have been hoodwinked, both Democrats and Republicans. George Santos is an imposter. He has never represented the will of the people of New York 03. Today we're here in front of the courthouse, federal courthouse, where Senator Al D'Amato, former Senator Al D'Amato's name is on the courthouse. That reminds me that Long Island has a long and strong history of well-regarded leaders, Republican leaders, and look now at what the party has come to, the party of George Santos. So we're here today because we wanted to hear what the next step is, and we want folks to know that we are monitoring every step of the way, and we will hold him accountable. We are happy that a trial date or the next step has been set. We understand it's September 7th, but the truth is that it doesn't help us. We fully expect George Santos to go to prison, but that doesn't solve our immediate problem. We are now 6 months with this charlatan as our congressman, as our representative, right? Without any meaningful representation. So why has Santos been allowed to remain in Congress? He's not doing his job. Nobody trusts him. No one will go to him with personal problems for fear that they're going to get ripped off. He serves on no committees. He's impotent in Congress. His latest is that he got essentially an anti-Semite white nationalist to co-sponsor. He got his first co-sponsor on a piece of legislation. How insulting, after what he has done to the Jewish community in our district, to have an anti-Semite co-sponsor his legislation. So the only solution is to get George Santos ousted from Congress. Get him out of office, and now. Everyone knows he's a liar, a cheater, he's dishonorable, and he's untrustworthy. He's also a criminal. He's confessed to fraud in Brazil. He's now been indicted on 13 counts, charged with 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts making materially false statements to the House of Representatives. This is the person that Kevin McCarthy expects us to accept as our representative. As a nonpartisan group, we find this particularly troubling, that McCarthy still is protecting him, the Republicans in Washington are still protecting him, and even after all that has happened. The GOP has had the opportunity to get rid of what we considered this filth. A full year before the election, McCarthy and Representative Stefanik found out that Santos was a fraud, and they should have forced him out then. In late December, early January, when the revelations of his complete and utter con of the people came out, McCarthy should not have seated Santos in Congress. In February, Santos admitted on national TV that he lied to get elected. McCarthy should have pushed him to resign at that point. In early 2023, when the ethics and other complaints were filed, McCarthy should have pushed him to resign at that point. On May 9th, he was criminally indicted in those 13 counts. Certainly, McCarthy should have pushed him to resign at that point. On May 17th, Representative Garcia from California introduced a privileged motion on the House floor to expel Santos. McCarthy and the New York State members of Congress, Republican members of Congress, voted instead of they voted not to expel him. Instead, they voted to send this back to the Santos problem, back to the Ethics Committee, where it had already languished for 3 months. The Republican Party's ongoing support of Santos is a disgrace. So who can fix this, since Kevin McCarthy is too weak to do it? The New York State Republicans have and have always had the power to oust Santos from Congress. They can make the Santos problem a priority and force McCarthy and their colleagues in Washington to address it. But so far, we have only received lip service. We can't believe them when they say they're outraged, that they want him out, that they're going to vote to expel, or they would have pushed him out by now. So now McCarthy and Representative D'Esposito and Representative Lalotta said that they would act, that the Ethics Committee would finish their work and they would act by July 18th, essentially 60 days from when they said that. But they've lied before. Are they going to be able to stick to this time frame? There was a report out last week from the Ethics Committee, the House Ethics Committee, that they had issued 30 subpoenas. What on earth are they doing? Why do they need to subpoena anybody? Nobody trusts Santos. No one thinks he has integrity. No one thinks that Santos even knows what ethical behavior is. In short, nobody thinks he belongs in Congress. So what an utter waste of time, taxpayer dollars, and an insult to the people who live in the district. As the abomination continues and we are dragged through what I call the Santos sewer of stink, let's be sure to hold the right people accountable for this national nightmare. So I'm going to turn this over. Thank you all for being here, by the way. I'm going to turn this over to a few of the other constituents so we can hear what it means to them to have a lying thief as our representative in Congress. First person I'm going to hear from is Emily Schulman from Plainview. We're just going to hear a couple of minutes from each person.
Could you spell your name first?
Yes. I'm Jody Kassfinkel, Jodykasssfinkel. Emily, they probably want you to do that too.
And just spell your name, please, for the next speaker.
Okay, my name's actually Emily Raphael, R-A-P as in Peter, H-A-E-L. I've been saying that my whole life. My family has lived in Plainview since 1967, and Santos's lies offend me on a lot of levels. As a Jew, as a dog lover, as the wife of someone whose building was destroyed in 9/11, as the relative of gay people, he grifts off of tragedy, and I can't even express how contemptible I think that is. As someone who's spent a long time as a knowledge worker, someone who's taught writing, and is the daughter and niece of librarians, I place a high value on honesty and accuracy, and on words having actual meaning. By equating wholesale lies and the fabrication of an entire identity with resume puffing, and any objection to his tenure as a witch hunt, Santos gaslights us and normalizes such lies as part of the game. It's just what people do, politics as usual. Not to me. It's not what I do. It's not what I've taught my children and my students to do. It's not what my community values, and it's certainly not what a member of Congress should do. He corrupts our discourse and our institutions, and he needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, now we're going to hear from Marie Marcina from Douglaston.
Good afternoon. My name is Marie Marcina. That's M-A-R-I-E, M-A-R-S-I-N-A. I'm a member of the Concerned Citizens of New York 3. Why am I here today? Why am I standing here breathing toxic air? It's very simple. Because I'm a senior citizen in my early 70s, living in Douglaston for over 25 years, who has no representation or support from my congressman. A liar, a fraud, a con man, a congressman that has no leadership, does not serve on any committees, has 13 federal indictments, and cannot be trusted. For the past 6 months, Santos has introduced 28 bills that have had no other co-sponsorship. His fellow congressmen consider him politically toxic and won't work with him. Introducing legislation is simple. Building support to get it passed is the hard part. Without co-sponsorship, his bills are useless. Of course, I would be remiss, although Jody mentioned it earlier, he did get one bill that he had one co-signer, and that bill was to prohibit federal funds to organizations that fund Confucius Institutes. And we all know how helpful that bill will be to us, especially the senior citizens. Santos has also co-sponsored over 100 bills that he feels would make us safe and fiscally responsible. Some of them are banning TikTok, demanding that the Treasury mint coins to commemorate working dogs, and designating the AR-15 semi-automatic rifle as the national gun of the United States. Really? Does Congress Santos even know what his senior citizens want, what his senior constituents need? Based on the bills that I have seen, I think not. Members of Congress are supposed to be devoted to serving their constituents. Approximately 30% of the population in District 3 are senior citizens. How can I feel comfortable sharing with him my personal information, my concerns, and my needs? Would I or any other senior citizen seek his help regarding the cost of Medicare, Social Security benefits, high energy bills, IRS issues, immigration issues? Based on my conversations with my neighbors, I think not. Would you tell a thief where you hide your jewelry? I have a constitutional right to have a representative that is not a liar and a fraud, someone I can trust. I don't have that now, and I am angry. The concerned citizens of New York 3 and the rest of the people here know that Speaker McCarthy, as Jody mentioned, and the Congress can expel Santos, but instead they have chosen stall tactics. Maya Angelou once said, she's a noted contributor in literature, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. I am here to tell George Santos that I will never forget how angry and frustrated I have felt the past 6 months having a fraud and a liar as a congressman. I am here because I have chosen to fight for my rights. I will never accept a con man as my congressman, and I will continue to speak up and demand Santos to resign or be expelled. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Okay, now we're going to hear from Kim Kaiserman from Port Washington.
Thank you, Jody. My name is Kim Kaiserman. Would you like me to spell?
Yeah.
K-I-M-K-E-I-S-E-R-M-A-N. I'm a member of the Steering Committee of Concerned Citizens for New York 03.
Sorry, we'll get closer to the mic if you can.
Can everybody hear me? And I've lived in Port Washington for 22 years. I'm here today with people from different backgrounds and age groups. We've all come here from different communities, but with a shared cause, to take back our congressional seat from an imposter, con man, and criminal who doesn't represent us and can't represent us. But I think each of us has a personal reason this cause is important to us, a reason we had to come here today and say that we won't accept 2 years of George Santos. For me, it comes from my career in education. As a graduate student many years ago, I wrote my master's thesis about how teachers can help students become active participants in our democracy. And this has been a driving goal for me ever since. I've been a classroom teacher, a curriculum consultant, a community volunteer, and a parent. And in each of these roles, I have always tried to get young people involved and engaged in the democratic process, to teach them that if they inform themselves, get out there and vote, and persuade others to vote, they can elect people who will represent their values and interests and make the world a better place. For a fraud like George Santos to be elected to public office based on lies undermines all of that. It undermines my core values. It feeds into the cynical belief that our votes don't matter and our voices don't count. And for him to be allowed to remain in office despite his blatant lies just compounds this demoralizing message. It devalues democratic participation. It breeds distrust and apathy, and it corrodes our most precious democratic values and norms. It sends a terrible message to young people and to all people, and that must end now. It's time for George Santos to be removed from Congress and for the people of New York 03 to regain our meaningful representation in Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Now we're going to hear from Aiden Davis from Plainview.
Hi everyone, my name is Aiden Davis. That's A-I-D-A-N D-A-V-I-S. I'm a member of the steering committee of Concerned Citizens of New York 3. I'm a student and I'm a youth activist from Plainview. And as a young person, our congressmen, our congresspeople should be fighting to keep Long Island affordable for people who want to come back after college and live on Long Island when it isn't now feasible. What they shouldn't be doing is getting themselves indicted for wire fraud and being corrupt and degrading trust in our democracy at a time when trust in our democracy is at an all-time low and trust in our institutions. So what we need to be doing, we need to be getting out there every day telling George Santos that this is not acceptable and letting people know that this is not normal. A lot of this situation has become normalized because it's in the news so much, because people have just accepted that Speaker McCarthy is not going to take action and George Santos is going to stay. Well, we need to fight back against that and tell Speaker McCarthy. I stood in Washington when we protested down there back in February. I told Speaker McCarthy that he can end this madness right now, and he still can. He is almost the sole determinant of getting George Santos expelled from the House of Representatives, and that needs to happen now. As was already said, we've been 6 months without a proper representative, somebody who constituents can trust to give their information to, someone who our young people can trust to do the right thing. And we have somebody in there right now who isn't doing the right thing. So some of you may have seen before that I was holding up the American flag because I consider myself a patriot, and I think I can speak for the Concerned Citizens of New York 3 that we consider ourselves patriots because we love this country. And right now, George Santos is making a mockery of our institutions, of what being an elected official is, and what being a representative of the people is. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden. Here's the flag. Okay, we have two more people we're going to hear from. Taiba Ahmed from Whitestone.
Hello, my name is Taiba Ahmad. It's spelled T-A-I-B-A. Last name is A-H-M-A-D. And I am a resident of New York 3. The last time I spoke at a rally was on February 7th, 2023, when we took a bus to Washington, D.C. to urge Speaker McCarthy to hold a vote to expel George Santos so that we can have a fair election and finally be represented in Congress. It has been 144 days. I literally sat there and counted the days yesterday. And Speaker McCarthy has done nothing as we are left without representation in Congress. The residents of New York 3 are paying the price for Speaker McCarthy's refusal to hold George Santos accountable. For some reason, Mr. McCarthy feels we do not need proper representation as he watches George Santos desecrate his congressional seat. Well, I would like for you to know that your inaction has consequences beyond New Yorkers making sure we take back every congressional seat from a party that backs a con man. I hope all those members of Congress frame their personal thank you letter they received from Mr. Santos. It should serve as a reminder of when you failed to uphold your oath to protect and serve the Constitution instead of a political party. As an educator and a community organizer, there are many projects that come up in our neighborhoods that I know need federal funding for it to be required to help our members of Congress to secure the funding. I'm envious of our neighboring congressional districts because I see Congresswoman Cortez secure funding for 15 community projects in the 2023 fiscal year. On the other side, we have Grace Meng, in Queens at least. We have Grace Meng, who I have personally attended voter registration events and many community events that she holds to be able to meet and interact with her constituents. If you go on Mr. Santos' congressional page, there is no mention of any achievements. There is his biography, which as well might be fictional. You will find his picture in multiple locations. And a section where he updates us on what the House GOP tweets, posts on Instagram, or Facebook. As we can't do that on our own. 144 days ago, I shared that I was helping Afghans that work with the U.S. military and human rights groups out in Afghanistan. My email is full of pleas for help, and I can't trust my current congressman to help me. I have personally sponsored and applied for humanitarian parole for a girls' education activist, and I keep hitting roadblocks with our broken immigration system. Mr. McCarthy, if anything happens to her at the hands of the Taliban, I hold you personally accountable.
Okay, just take a deep breath.
I would like to end with my current New York City Councilwoman, Vicky Palladino. We will never forgive you for helping to elect this con man. Our district suffers not only because of your extreme ways, but because you pushed this con man, knowing well who he was. We will hold you accountable at the ballot box this November. To the people that are trying to silence me, I want you to know that I am speaking up because thousands of SIB recipients and Afghan girls that have no voice are depending on me to speak up. Showing up at my house and watching me take my kids out of my car will not deter me. There is too much at stake.
Thank you. It's all very, very emotional for all of us. Thank you so much for having the courage to share your story. We're gonna hear from Rich now. Just, say your full name and spell it, okay?
Hey guys, my name is Richard Osthoff, O-S-T-H-O-F-F. In case any of you don't know me, I'm the disabled veteran that was homeless, and George Santos, the name of Anthony DeVolder at the time, because he was pulling an alias thing with me, set up a GoFundMe. My friends, family, Navy shipmates, and friends of friends donated $3,000 to it. George Santos felt a night out on the town and a dopey zip-up sweater was worth a lot more than my dog's life was. So he took my money and he ran, and he was nasty to me. I had a police officer friend call him, try to get the money back from him, and he told him off too. He said, nope, not doing it, this and that. I've been living with this for 7 years now, with a hole in my heart for my dog dying and for the fact that somebody ripped me off like he did at the lowest point in my life. I've never forgot about how hard that hit and just how low somebody could be to do that. I didn't know who George Santos was up until December when he was on the news and a reporter said, are you Anthony DeVolder or George Santos today? Now I know who he is, and I was told by lawyers that that is when the statute of limitations starts, is when I finally found out who he exactly is. You know, George, you might not be in here right now for my stuff, for Sapphire, but you're paying the piper. It's time to pay the piper, and the piper's calling you. Finally caught up. You knew you had all these skeletons in your closet, George, and you probably got a lot more that we haven't seen yet. Why did you run for Congress in the first place? You didn't know this was going to come out? You think you're so smart, man. You don't run for office when you've been such a hood and a criminal your whole entire life. You come here today to defend yourself against indefensible stuff, stealing from the people, stealing taxpayers' money. This isn't just $3,000 for me. This is thousands and thousands. What is it, 20-something thousand dollars you stole? You stole a seat in Congress. You don't deserve that money. That's my money. That's coming out of my taxes. I don't want to pay you for doing nothing. You're defending yourself. You're not doing anything for our country right now. You need to go. I don't want to get political about this, but Kevin McCarthy, you got some friggin' little balls, man. You got no backbone, Kevin McCarthy. Wake up to yourself, man. This guy is bringing you down. He's making your entire party look horrendous. It's time for him to go. George, wake up.
do the right thing, step down before you're indicted again, and step down before you're found guilty and sentenced. Be a man for the first time in your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. And we're going to close it down. If we'll take questions, or you should definitely talk to some of the other folks here. But I just want to answer another question that a few people had asked me about how we feel if there's a plea deal. And I just want to say that if the plea deal includes immediate resignation for George Santos, the constituents, Concerned Citizens New York 03, are okay with that. We hope he's penalized as well. He belongs in prison, and he belongs in prison for a long time. But our goal has always been to preserve our constitutional right to a free and fair election, and for our representative to actually represent us, the will of the people of New York's 3rd Congressional District. Thank you all for covering it. We really appreciate your continued attention to our voice. Thank you.